During the pandemic, this ministry played a significant role in securing vaccines for this country and for the region. As things began opening up, the ministry refocused its efforts on expanding and intensifying the country's relations through bilateral and multilateral initiatives, and through seeking environments that are conducive to trade, tourism, and investment. The minister now recaps some of the ministry's proudest achievements.
I offer best wishes of the season to all viewers of this broadcast. It is difficult in a short time frame to detail all the actions of the ministry and our 20 overseas missions across the globe. But let's begin by highlighting the actions of our embassies, high commissions, and consulates general, which all responded to mark the 60th anniversary of independence in a big way. The Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs achieved the illumination of 3 of the most notable landmarks in Toronto, namely the Niagara Falls, the Toronto Sign, and the CN Tower, all in the red, white, and black. We also achieved the flying of our national flag over Westminster Abbey in London for the very first time at such an occasion. Exhibitions were also held by our embassy in Beijing to specifically promote the history, culture, manufacturing, and services of our country. And our High Commission in South Africa treated the general public, South African officials, and diplomats to the sights, sounds, and tastes of Trinidad and Tobago. The Freedom Tower in Miami-Dade College was also lit in commemoration of our 60th anniversary of independence. Our missions in New York and Washington, D.C. also hosted a series of memorable events, in addition to those hosted by other missions, which spared no effort in marking this occasion magnificently yet frugally. Another very active pillar of our foreign policy this year was our outreach to important stakeholders, including the diaspora, in which yet again our missions led the charge, with outreach programs being conducted with increased regularity. Among the more notable ones were events held in Toronto, where our consulate hosted a major TRINBAGO festival in collaboration with Tourism Trinidad Limited and the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited as part of the Come Home campaign targeting our diaspora. In Washington, D.C., our embassy conducted numerous outreach activities to universities and colleges to promote Trinidad and Tobago, and our Consulate General in New York facilitated a wide range of encounters for Invest TT, which resulted in sharply increased interest from chambers of commerce and private business entities within the tri-state area, especially those involved in business process outsourcing and fintech. The consulate in Miami received 5 proclamations and the key to the city of Lauderhill from Mayor Hazel Rogers, due to its relationships forged with key stakeholders in areas of high diaspora concentration. Our staff were instrumental as well in reconstituting the Miami Caribbean Chamber of Commerce. We continued our impetus in providing much needed services and facilitation to benefit our nationals abroad, in keeping with the ministry's people-centered consular mission, most notably including help for a family to escape the war in Ukraine this year, assistance to our students in Cuba during the COVID-19 pandemic. We provided them with vaccines, and we provided essential support after the ravages of Hurricane Ian. The Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs during this year also advanced the cause of the Caribbean community and our regional integration process by significantly increasing the categories of recognition for skilled nationals of Trinidad and Tobago and other CARICOM nationals. And we are well on our way with the process of digitizing our services and creating an e-appointment system for those who wish to apply for a skills certificate and the right to establishment in 2023 and beyond. An essential goal of the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs is to ensure the election of nationals of this country to important international bodies to give our country an opportunity to influence activities and decision-making with sensitivity to the needs of our nation. To this end, the Ministry at headquarters, in conjunction with the Trinidad and Tobago Permanent Representative to the United Nations, secured the re-election of Professor Rhoda Reddock, an eminent scholar in the field of gender studies, to the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, for the period 2023 to 2026. This important committee monitors progress made by member states in the implementation of the Convention on the Treatment of Women, a critically important subject for Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago has taken on leadership roles in the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States, with myself as President of the Ministerial Council and our Ambassador to Belgium as Chair of the Committee of Ambassadors. The Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs also played an essential and key role in the state visit of the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana to Trinidad and Tobago and the official visit to this country of the Prime Minister of Jamaica during this year. I take this opportunity to thank all our hardworking staff for their sincere efforts and to wish everyone a Happy New Year and God's blessings to you and your families.
In 2022, the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries implemented various projects, creating and enabling an environment for increased food production and transforming the agricultural sector through innovation and investment, the most notable of which was the resounding success of the Agri-Investment Forum and Expo. This short video gives us some insight into the Ministry's work over the past year.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, the MALF, remains committed to advancing the sector's infrastructure with emphasis on youth in agriculture, institutional strengthening, access to grants for agricultural development, and adoption of technology and innovation. Through the implementation of various programs and projects aimed at increasing food production and improving livelihoods of all its stakeholders. Here are some of our key initiatives. Agri-Investment and Expo. The government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, hosted the Trinidad and Tobago Agri-Investment Forum and Expo 2 from August 19th to the 21st, 2022. The undertaking, which featured 300 exhibitors and attracted some 30,000 patrons, was designed to stimulate conversations among key stakeholders such as policymakers, potential foreign and local investors, farmers and distributors, to apply investments and achieve the vision of reducing the food import bill by 25% by 2025 in the CARICOM region. Caranage Fish Fry Facility, commissioned by the Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley on Friday, 1st July 2022, the Caranage Fish Fry Facility was executed by the Urban Development Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago Limited, UDCOT. Agricultural Incentive Program. In fiscal 2022, the payment of incentives through the Ministry's Agricultural Incentive Program, or AIP, Fisheries Incentive Program, and Forestry Incentive Program to support the development of various subsectors amounted to $753,919. Agro Incentive Grant and Youth Fast Track Agro Incentive Grant. In 2022, a total of 59 agro incentive grants were awarded to the tune of $5,723,543. Added to this was a specialized grant geared towards encouraging the involvement of youth in the sector, which witnessed a total of 26 grants valued at over $2 million being distributed to young farmers in both Trinidad and Tobago as part of the first cohort of the Youth Fast Track Agricultural Finance Support Program, executed in collaboration with the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service. Improved infrastructure, roadworks. The MALF continues to rehabilitate and improve agricultural access roads to allow for easy access to farmers' plots and ensure produce is not damaged during the transportation of harvests. To this end, funding has been accessed under the Agricultural Stimulus Package for extensive roadworks, which have been categorized into 5 phases and are currently at varying stages of development. Disaster assistance and flood control. In an attempt to provide some relief to farmers and fisherfolks in restarting their activities in the shortest possible time following a natural disaster, the Ministry has, in fiscal 2022, under its Disaster Assistance Program, allocated payments to the tune of $2,485,511. Fishing facilities. In fiscal 2022, the payment for works undertaken at the Icacus, Mondiablo and Erin fishing facilities was completed at a cost of $560,072, and contracts have been tendered for the rehabilitation of the Claxton Bay and Maracas fishing facilities, farmers training, extension and outreach. Pursuant to its role of disseminating knowledge, technologies and agricultural information in 2022, the Ministry's Extension, Training and Information Services Division hosted 122 online training courses on crop production, livestock management, basic skills and agribusiness management. A total of 16,975 persons registered, with participation by 8,403 persons. Trade facilitation. In May of 2022, the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries was privileged to be part of the Trinidad and Tobago Trade and Business Information Portal, which facilitates and supports the increase in the insurance of certificates and avoids delays and disruptions in the trade of fresh agricultural produce. The plant import permit process is now fully automated, 100% online, and issued via TT BizLink. Provision of planning material. For 2022, 160,321 nursery plants and 2,810 kilograms of vegetable seeds were sold to the farming community and the public. These commodities, sold at highly subsidized prices, generated revenue in the sum of approximately $1,473,900. Farmer registration. In fiscal 2022, 2,276 farmers were approved for registration as new farmers or for renewal of existing cards. Soon, members of the public will be able to commence this registration process online before visiting the county offices and will be able to upload their supporting documents and choose their appointment dates. The MALF's TRINBAGO website launch. In keeping with the government's thrust for the public service to digitize and to improve on the efficiency and quality of service delivery to stakeholders, the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries launched the Grow TRINBAGO website on August 3, 2022. The website allows for easier access to plants and agricultural materials for farmers and the general public, and offers a range of information on planting and aftercare guides for the successful cultivation of plants and seeds. Public and private partnerships. Aripo Livestock Limited and Central Farms Limited. In fiscal 2022, the Ministry's successful public-private partnerships, or PPPs, have continued to enhance production in key subsectors. The Aripo Livestock Limited, or ALL, for instance, has made significant investment in 2022 with the importation of 52 Jersey cows in November 2021, resulting in an increased milk production of approximately 400 to 500 litres a day, of which Nestle has been receiving 300 to 350 litres a day. The country's poultry sector has benefited tremendously from the Ministry's PPP with the Central Farms Limited, or CFL, which has made considerable investments through the establishment of a state-of-the-art hatchery with a capacity of hatching some 5,000 eggs per annum. Priorities for fiscal 2023. In keeping with the Ministry's drive to address the needs of farmers, 2 priority areas were included in the development program for fiscal 2023: predial larceny and surveillance and control of pernicious pests and diseases. Predial larceny continues to be a major issue plaguing the farming population as it directly impacts their ability to earn an income and also discourages expanding production. The Ministry seeks to address this issue by revitalizing the Predial Larceny Squad, or the PLS, by ensuring the unit is fully staffed and equipped to enhance its efficiency. The control of pernicious pests and diseases is crucial for the preservation of the ecological environment of the agricultural sector. The dramatic rise in the population and distribution of several pernicious pests has the potential of destroying the agricultural sector of the country if an environmentally sustainable management strategy is not developed and implemented. Therefore, the Ministry seeks to identify those pests and diseases with the potential to cripple the agricultural sector and implement methods of control to ensure that the farming population is not negatively affected.
The Ministry of National Security continues to engage its partners to develop solutions which strengthen our homeland and improve security for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Let's hear more now from Minister Hines.
The Ministry of National Security carries out its mission as we operate within our general areas of responsibility. These are the maintenance of law and order, public safety and defense against aggression, management of disaster preparedness and relief, and the monitoring and control of the flow of persons into and out of the country. Over the past year, the Ministry has set out to integrate government, civil society, and our international partners to develop more focused and innovative solutions to traditional and emerging and challenging national security issues. Trinidad and Tobago, and as well the wider Caribbean region, has been experiencing a surge in serious crime and violence, largely driven by the trafficking and prevalence of illegal firearms. The number of illegal firearms in circulation estimated at about 12,000. The type of firearms and ammunition, the frequency with which acts of armed violence are committed against our citizenry, the gang culture which is fueling this threat, and the actual trade in firearms are just some of the factors which threaten the safety and security of our country. At the forefront of this fight against crime and violence stands the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service,
supported, of course, by the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force and all the other agencies of national security. As the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service continue in its fight against crime, these successes include the reopening of police stations in Moriah, St. Mary's and Barataria in response to the calls and cries of the citizens in those areas. The rebranding of the Traffic and Highway Patrol Unit into an effective policing, traffic and crime detection unit on account of specialized training and preparation. An ongoing joint interagency firearm retrieval initiative designed only to take weapons out of the hands of criminals and secure them in the hands of law enforcement. This has led to the seizure of over 600 firearms, which includes over 130 assault rifles and submachine guns of military grade. In the area of border security and management, the Ministry of National Security continues to collaborate in strong bilateral arrangements with international and regional partners to access and implement best practice approaches in these regards. Some of these include our signing on to 2 international border protection systems, namely ARCOP and CARICOM. Improving the training and capacity of the officers attached to the Coastal and Riverine Patrol Unit of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Our 360 radar system is fully operational. Engagement and securing of the presence of the United States' Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms team in our fight against the illicit trafficking in firearms. We have continued our ongoing engagement with the Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs on police reform, forensic investigations, white-collar criminal investigations, and the strengthening of the criminal justice system. We have continued the digitization of all of the platforms of the Ministry of National Security. In particular, we have made some significant advancement of the process towards the movement from the machine-readable passport to an e-passport system. The establishment and the launch of the National Drug Plan and Policy was also achieved. In the area of disaster management, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management continues its work towards advancing this country's national disaster resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, we of the Government of Trinidad and Tobago continue to provide the resources that we can afford to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and law enforcement generally. We continue with training to further professionalize all the elements of law enforcement, particularly the police service. We have continued to approach legislative change where we consider it necessary and we can get the support in the Parliament. And of course, the very important element of community relations, where we depend on you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, to continue to partner and to work with us, because together we can, together we must, we will win this fight in protecting you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, for the foreseeable future. I thank you.
The Ministry of Finance is a key stakeholder in all the activities of government, from managing our economy through the global challenges of the past few years to supporting our economic transformation through ministries such as energy, agriculture, trade and industry, and youth development. Let's hear more from Minister Imbert.
Well, there's a fallacy and a myth out there in Trinidad and Tobago that all I do is impose taxes on people. It's just propaganda, because what we have done is systematically increase the personal allowance. So it was 5,000. So anybody earning 5,000 or less, no tax. Then we raise it to 6,000. Then we raise it to 7,000. And this year I've raised it to $7,500 a month. So what it means is that anybody earning $7,500 or less a month, no tax. So it's a tax reduction. And it's a hidden story because the opponents don't want people to know that what I've actually done is reduce the tax burden for over 300,000 taxpayers. A salary of $7,500 or less will capture all daily paid workers, for example, and a significant amount of public servants, and a huge group of people in the private sector. So it's really designed to help the mass of the population, not the big boys on top, but the small people do. On the macroeconomic side, we achieved a fiscal surplus of $1 billion in fiscal 2022, which ended in September. This was the first time Trinidad and Tobago had achieved a fiscal surplus in 14 years. What this fiscal surplus means is that our overdraft at the central bank, which would normally be over 90% of the limit, normally we have to look at that overdraft every single day in the past. And you would see as you come towards the end of a month and you have to pay salaries, which is a huge chunk of expenditure, over $2 billion every single month for the main public service and the RHAs and so on. You need to have that $2 billion in your bank account. So in the past, sometimes we didn't have it. So we'd have to run and borrow so that we could pay salaries. It was not a nice situation. But if you're running a fiscal surplus, it means that your income exceeds your expenditure. It can be used for roadworks. It's going to help us with dealing with all these problems that have occurred because of the flooding and damage to the Manzanilla Road, for example, and damage to a lot of roads in South Trinidad, Central Trinidad, and in North Trinidad. So it's going to help us to fund that. This year, we informed the public servants that they would now be paid by bank transfer. So we're eliminating the whole system of paying people by check. And that's well in train, and I expect by 2023, everybody will be paid. Everybody in the public service will be paid by bank transfer. And so you don't have to have people lining up outside the treasury with their check, problems with processing the check itself, checks being stolen, all that sort of thing. So the question of payment of salaries and wages will be completely digital in 2023. We did a tax amnesty in 21 during COVID. And as we came to the end, the expiry, there was a flood of requests to the ministry and to me from small and medium enterprises for an extension. We did a small extension, but we couldn't go much further because we were coming towards the end of the fiscal year. So I didn't want to go beyond the fiscal year because that creates an accounting problem. When I asked them what's going on, we gave you 3 months to do this. They said yes, but our accounts are in disarray and we can't pay taxes until we do our financial accounts for the previous years. So we need more time, and we're now getting our accounts in order, our financial statements in order, but we're not going to make it because COVID damaged that too. It damaged the organization's ability to keep proper accounts and to have proper financial statements. So this one is to deal with that group of people who came close but couldn't make it in time to get all their paperwork in order, get all their financial statements together and to be able to submit a tax return and to pay their taxes. It's as simple as that. So when COVID came along, it was such a shock that so many of these small and medium enterprises just collapsed. So we recognized that. So we said, let's help them. So we came up with a small and medium enterprise loan guarantee program called we had a phase 1. So we said, okay, we'll do a phase 2. And what we did in phase 2 is we improved the guarantee. We're now guaranteeing 100% of these loans, interest-free. They don't have to pay any interest. The government pays the interest to the commercial banks, and a 2-year moratorium on repayments. And we then gave them a year to become compliant with their statutory obligations, their tax returns, their NIS payments, their accounting and all that sort of thing. Our debt to GDP ratio has dropped from where it was thought to be. The rating agencies, for example, like Standard & Poor's and Moody's, thought it would hit 90% in 2022. It's now 70%. So it's a 20% drop. It's a huge drop in our debt to GDP ratio. What is important from a rating agency point of view, credit rating, is that your debt to GDP ratio is a very important criteria for your rating. And when the rating agencies see we drop from 90 to 70, it improves Trinidad and Tobago's outlook and our credit rating. What I like about CAF is that it's very agile. It's a bank designed by the countries of the region for the countries of the region. And it has been very helpful to Trinidad and Tobago. Over the last 4 years, they've lent us over $1 billion for all sorts of important things. And they're now pushing forward again. They're helping us with technical assistance, expert advice on almost everything, on infrastructure, how to deal with drainage problem, on road construction, on education, on making Spanish our second language and all that sort of thing. CAF has been a great boost to Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you for joining us on the Recap 2022. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode.